Welcome back. Well, technically, welcome for the very first time to Unfiltered Royals, the podcast where we cut through palace PR, media fantasy, and royal fairy tales to get to what's really going on behind the velvet ropes. If you're tired of being spoon-fed glossy headlines about perfect families, devoted support systems, and quiet heroes of the monarchy, you're in the right place. Here, we look at what's said, and what's very conveniently not said. Today's episode? Oh, it's a good one. Because we're talking about Carole Middleton turning 71, the sudden rehabilitation of her public image, the very selective amnesia around Party Piece's bankruptcy, and the frankly hilarious praise being heaped on her by royal commentators who seem to be working overtime to rewrite recent history. So grab your tea, or something stronger, because this one is a case study in how fast a reputation can be rebranded when it suits the palace narrative. Let's start with the headline, Excuse for all of this commentary. Carole Middleton turned 71. Happy birthday to her. But birthdays in royal adjacent circles aren't just about cake and candles, they're about image management. Carole is now being framed as the warm, stabilising matriarch of the Prince and Princess of Wales family life, the woman who brought normality to William, the behind-the-scenes hero, the quiet pillar of strength. Which is fascinating because just a short while ago, Carole and Michael Middleton's business, Party Pieces, collapsed spectacularly. This wasn't a minor hiccup. The company went bankrupt in 2023, defaulted on millions in bank loans, and reportedly left multiple local suppliers and businesses out of pocket. The name and leftover stock were sold off by insolvency courts. And for a while, Carole seemed to disappear from polite society. No Ascot, no Wimbledon, no cosy photo ops with senior royals, until suddenly she was back. This is the part that barely gets airtime in the birthday tributes. Party Pieces didn't just quietly fold. It left what many have described as a trail of financial damage. Small businesses allegedly left unpaid, promises made and broken, loans defaulted on. And yet this messy, very real financial scandal has now been politely brushed aside in favour of a new storyline. Carole, the unsung hero. Carole, the stabiliser. Carole, the emotional rock of the Wales family. Funny how reputations work, isn't it? 1 minute you're radioactive in social circles, the next you're absolutely pivotal to the future of the monarchy. Something shifted in early 2024. The Princess of Wales's health crisis became the dominant royal storyline, and with it came a reshuffling of who was allowed back into the inner circle of public acceptability. Carole reappeared at Ascot. She reappeared at Wimbledon. She posed for photos with Prince William and King Charles. She was suddenly everywhere again. And that reintroduction wasn't subtle. It came wrapped in sympathetic framing and glowing commentary. This wasn't just about supporting a daughter through illness. It became a full-blown PR reset. Carole wasn't just present. She was essential. Not just supportive. She was pivotal. Which brings us to the GB News commentary that kicked this whole birthday narrative into overdrive. According to royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams, Carole Middleton is absolutely pivotal, terribly important. A source of stability that William loved, the provider of a normal family environment, a quiet, behind-the-scenes architect of the Wales family's survival during Catherine's illness. He paints the Middletons as a discreet support network operating below the radar, selflessly holding everything together while William and Catherine face intense pressure. Now, here's the question. Is this sincere insight? Or is it media mythology? Because this kind of glowing, reverent language doesn't happen accidentally. This is reputation rehabilitation. This is a storyline being fed to the public at exactly the moment when the Wales brand needs to look stable, functional, and emotionally grounded. There's also a push, subtle but noticeable, to frame Carole as a kind of emotional or even practical stand-in support figure for the Wales children, as William and Kate supposedly take on more royal duties. But here's the reality check. William and Kate are not suddenly becoming workaholics. Kate's public role has visibly scaled back. International tours are unlikely. Their workload is not meaningfully expanding. So the idea that Carole is stepping into some hands-on behind-the-scenes childcare or stabilising role feels manufactured. If anything, what we've seen is a carefully negotiated lifestyle reset. Fewer public duties, more privacy, more personal time. The rest is just narrative dressing. And then there's the Daily Mail, doing what the Daily Mail does best, romanticising body language. Yes, they ran a piece suggesting that William has adopted Carole as a maternal figure, stepping into the emotional space once held by Diana. This is based on standing near her at Ascot. A body language expert weighed in. Because of course they did. Look, standing next to your mother-in-law at a public event does not rewrite decades of personal history. And it certainly doesn't mean someone has become a substitute parent figure. This kind of storytelling isn't journalism, it's fan fiction with headlines. Here's where things get interesting. There was a noticeable shift in how William's relationship with Kate's family was reported around 2021-2022. The tone changed. The warmth felt curated. The ease looked staged. Whether it was boundaries being crossed, tensions behind the scenes, or simply changing dynamics, the public narrative started to feel less organic and more managed. So watching the media now aggressively sell the idea of Carole as William's emotional anchor feels less like reality and more like revisionism. So where does that leave us? Carole Middleton turning 71 has become less about a birthday and more about a reputation makeover. The financial fallout of party pieces is quietly sidelined. The awkward years are smoothed over, and suddenly she's framed as one of the most important unseen figures in the modern monarchy. Is she supportive to her daughter? Almost certainly. Is she a central pillar holding together the Wales family and the future of the crown? That's far more debatable. And that's the core of what we do here on Unfiltered Royals. We separate genuine human support from carefully curated royal storytelling. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to follow the podcast, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who's tired of palace PR being passed off as reality. Next episode, we'll be digging into another royal storyline that looks one way in the headlines, and very different once you read between the lines. Until then, stay curious.